Hello, future toppers. Welcome to a strict initiative of Civil Study to ensure consistency in your day to day preparation. My name is Santosh Gupta and I will be taking up the prelims section. And today we are going to discuss the questions based on the topic that is one of the most important topic of the polity, that is fundamental rights. So without much ado, let's start. And the first question is the which of the following fundamental rights are available to only to the citizens of India? Now, one way to solve this question is to remember which rights are available to citizens of India and which rights are available to all of whether citizen of India and aliens. So Article 14. So let's analyze each statement one by one. So Article 14, right, equality before law and equal protection of law. Okay, will it be applicable to aliens also? Yes, because court is same for whether it is Indian citizen and whether it is alien. So before the in the eyes of law, whether it is Indian and no, any citizen of any country, they will be given similar protection. Option 2, that is Article 60. We know that this is related to the government job, non-discrimination in the government job, public employment. So public employment is mainly available to the citizens of India. So right away you can reach to the answer Article 16. That is 2 only. But let's analyze option 3, Article 24. It is about the provision of children into employment into hazardous activity. So whether it is a alien citizen or whether it is Indian citizen or foreigner citizen, they all be not be allowed. So this right is also available to all. Article 25. Since India is a secular country, it allows all of the residents to practice their own religions as per their own freedom of religion, conscience and expression. So that the option 4 here also will be applicable to all. So in these questions, only option 2 is correct, that is C options. See, here are the list of article fundamental rights that is applicable to Article 15, 16, 19, freedom of speech and expression, that is only to Indian. 29, right to culture, script and language, only to Indians. And 30, only for Indian minorities. And all others like 17, 23, 24, 20, 21, they are really applicable to all Indians and aliens. Aliens here are the foreigners. Moving on to next question. Which of the following fundamental rights are available only to the... Okay, that we have already discussed. Moving on to next question. Which of the following fundamental rights given below about the fundamental rights are correct? They are meant to promote the ideals of political democracy. We know that fundamental rights are those civic and political rights. So that will ensure political democracy. And second is the protection of liberties and freedom of people against the invasion of states. That is basically the basic concept of the fundamental. Those are sacrosanct rights, and we need protection from the invasion from the state. That impose negative obligation on the state to protect those rights and also protect our freedom and liberty, whether Article 21 or 19, they are to protect our liberty, whether freedom of speech and expression and liberties against the state. So 1 and 2 are definitely true. They aim at establishing a government of men and not of laws. All of the constitution, basically the constitution is meant to establish the rule of law, that is government of laws, not of men. When it is a government of men, it means a dictatorship, because their words, like in medieval France or in medieval India, the words of kings were to be their laws. That is not true now. So the constitution, very basic aim of constitution is to ensure government of laws. So statement 3 is wrong here, and if you eliminate statement 3, you are reaching to the answer 1 and 2 in this question, that is A. Moving on to next question, that is equality before law, the absence of special privileges to any person. This looks logical, because if anyone has the special privilege, they will not be equal before the law. The like should be treated alike without any discrimination. So we'll come to this statement later on. No person is above the law. That looks okay, and alignment with the 1. So equality before law. So 2 and 3 are definitely true, and it is component of rule of law. So let's understand point 2 and 4 here from the beginning itself. Now, equality concept has two aspects. First, all of us are equal before the law. So already that statement 1 and 3 are saying nobody is above the law and there is no special privilege. But that does not end here. It has to ensure equality of opportunities also. It means that not only all will be equal, but opportunity should be equal also. That where someone from the rural area or whether someone from the urban area should have same opportunity. Someone is physically disabled, someone is normal, should have same opportunities, and their opportunity to develop their skill and talent. Whoever is better at which skill should be given that kind of option. And this can happen only when we ensure a substantive equality, that is establishing formal equality, the way our article 14 established, that is equality before the law and equal protection of law. So first statement is about the first fact, that is all are equal before the law, but it does not tell about the equality of opportunity, that is second part. So this is being covered by the part 2, that is equal protection of law. Now let's going back to the question. So absence of special privilege to any person and no one is above the law. This should come with, in under article 14, that is equality before law, and the statement 2, that alike should be treated alike without any discrimination, that comes under equality opportunity, that is part 2, equal protection of law. See, 2 person, one is physically disabled and one is normal, do not have the equality of opportunity ever. So that's why the law has to take extra mile, has to do extra step, that is to ensure differential treatment, give them more advantage. They will have made to ramp in the school so that disabled person can drive up to the school or to ATM. So like this thing. A तीसरा बात, that affirmative action. So जो weak है, the weak person should get extra support from the state. The system we have like system of reservation, that is SC, ST and OBC. They get a special protection, a special relaxation in the marks or in the examination, so that they get they are able to qualify for the better, whether it is IIT, IIM's education or in the job. So it is like a positive discrimination in the favor of them. That is one sort of an affirmative action. So the ensuring substantial equality will require not only having a law that is ensuring equality legally, that is formal equality, but also give them differential treatment and affirmative action. These two have to be taken by the state through special schemes and measures and policy, so that the substantial equality comes into the society. And also about the fourth, that is a component of rule of law. We know that concept of due process or rule of law was given by David Dicey, and they said that first is supremacy of law, that no one is punishable except breach of law, that covers the first portion, and second is equality before the law, that we earlier discussed, that no one is above the law, no person is above the law, a lack of special privilege. So it is the equality before the law, it is a component of rule of law. So that we here our 1, 3 and 4 will be true. So that will be your answer, that is D. Now coming on to next question, consider the following statement with reference to fundamental rights. The state legislature shall have the power to modify the application of fundamental rights to the members of police forces as to ensure the proper discharge of their duty. So logically it seems true that fundamental rights will be modified up to certain extent for police forces, because if they start exercising article 19 rights under article, that is openly speaking against the government, that will be problematic. But whether state legislature can do this or parliament, that we have to check. Now statement 2, state legislature may enact a law stating that certain jobs can only be filled by the applicants who are domiciled in the area. Okay, that is also true. that can be done in to give a special protection to the local people, but whether state legislature can do that we have to see. Coming on to this, so parliament enacted this act of the Police Forces Restriction of Rights Act 1966, which restricts right to form an association or freedom of speech within Article 19. So only Parliament has power to modify the application of fundamental rights to the police forces. And second point, only Parliament has such power to enact such law which give priority to particular domiciled person in a particular area, not the state legislature. So both of the options will not be true here. That's so our answer will be D, neither one or two. Now moving on to question number 5. Which of the following statement are correct about the Indian Constitution? Ninth schedule was added by the first constitutional amendment. We all know that fundamental rights were given such position that land reforms were not able to done. Our freedom fighters, they even gave the right, fundamental rights like right to property, and that's why they are unable to do the land reforms, because Supreme Courts will often struck down the laws which were meant for the distribution of land or regulating the land ownership. So ninth schedule was enacted by the first constitutional statement itself in 1951 to provide exemption from the judicial review certain acts which will not be invalid by if they violates the fundamental right. So that should be true. But there is a whole story after that. In Iyer Coelho case, Supreme Court removed the immunity of ninth schedule from the judicial review. That is true. Let's understand the evolution. So here our both statement will be true, but you have to understand the chronology. Chronology समझिए. Now, what happened is that in 51, Supreme Court said, okay, ninth schedule is allowed, only certain acts will be allowed in there. Now after that it still did not work out, but in 1973 came the Keshavanand Bharati case. We said, okay, Supreme Parliament can amend the constitution as much as it can do, but it had to protect the basic structure. But still there are many laws being added to ninth schedule to protect from the judicial review power of the Supreme Court. So in 2000, say Iyer Coelho के Supreme Court said, okay, there will no blanket immunity to the acts in the ninth schedule, and only those enacted after 24th April 1973 will be reviewed, and if only they violate the basic structure of the constitution, then only will review that, otherwise it will be remain protected. So it basically removed the immunity of ninth schedule from the judicial review. So a statement both 1 and 2 will be true here. Thank you for watching today's video, and first it will be beneficial to all of you to attempt the question which is made available every day at 5 p.m. on the Civils Daily website. If you are facing any difficulty regarding the answering the question or understanding the concept, let us know in the comment section and we'll reply to you. And also if you want to talk to any of our mentor, just fill the Samanvay form and a senior mentor will reach out to.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civils Daily.